Speaker, I'm grateful to be called in this debate. Like the Minister who opened the debate, I'm a Londoner. I was born in London, went to school in London, was a London councillor, and now very proud to be a London MP. And I think it's been noticeable in this debate how members opposite have missed the point, with the single exception of the member for Brent North. None of them talked about the strategic issues. Instead, we had the same old anecdotes about Labour Council and Labour looniverse. And let me say this on London Labour Councils. No one pretends that London Labour Councils don't have their problems and their management difficulties. No, in Hackney, we've just uncovered a very serious housing scandal. And I want to take the opportunity this afternoon to congratulate the new Director of Housing in Hackney, Bernard Crofton, who has worked very hard with a new team to uncover these scandals and turn the situation around. And all of us in Hackney who are concerned with these issues are giving him every support. But let me say this, as someone who has both served as a London Labour MP, but also served on a Tory-led council, that corruption and mismanagement is not the exclusive preserve of London Labour councils. And I have to say that with all the things that London Labour councils may have done, none has sunk so low as Westminster City Council under Lady Shirley Porter, who sold cemeteries for 5p a time. And if you want to hear what people think of Tory councils, of their values, of their morals, of their commitment, talk to the relatives of the people whose families were buried in those cemeteries and saw them peddled to property dealers and then overrun by weeds in the pursuit of market values and enterprise. That's what Tory local government amounts to, peddling the dead. But let me say this, members opposite, and ministers as well, talked about the attractions of London for business, particularly American business, and certainly it's true that American business wishes to come here above Brussels and Frankfurt. Of course. I mean, the main issue is the language issue. It's the language issue. But let me say this, nobody on this side argues that London isn't still an attractive place to live for the rich. The question is, what sort of place is London becoming for the poor and those on middle incomes? And I think, as someone who has lived in London all her life, that one of the strengths of London, compared to cities like New York and Washington, is that London was always a city with a very high degree of social and racial integration. You go to New York, you go to Washington, and their rich and their white community very much live in fear behind stockades. London, even today, after 12 years of Tory government, even after the disturbances we saw at the beginning of the decade, is still a remarkably integrated city where people of all colours and creeds can live side by side. And I put it to this House that London Labour Authority, with all their faults, did a lot during the 80s to hold this city together, to make it a city where people can walk up and down through many communities in a way you cannot do in New York and you cannot do in Washington. And whatever people say about the London Labour Party, in as much as we helped to hold London together as a city, as an integrated city, we did a service to London, and you could see where London would have gone if you crossed the Atlantic and you look at New York and you look at those American cities, divided by class, divided by race, cities where people cannot leave their neighbourhoods without being in fear of their lives, and that's the literal truth. And it's an issue which the party opposite doesn't want to address, because entirely the members opposite, who are London members, they speak from their suburban fastnesses, they speak ridden by suburban bigotry. But the pride of London and the strength of London has always been that it's a city where people have come from all over the country, from all over the world, and been able to live together, work together, go to school together, and know that their children and their grandchildren could go as far as they wanted to go. And that strength of London, London as a melting pot, is something this party is committed to, and something the party opposite has never been committed to. They speak for the suburbs, they speak for bigotry, they speak for people that do not understand what has made London, for centuries, a magnet for people all over the country and all over the world. And I'm aware that other people wish to get in, and I want to complete my few remarks. So let's So let's reflect, when we talk about the things London Labour authorities may have done wrong, let's talk about what they did right in holding the city together and making it still an integrated city, a city which is remarkable with all the problems for the way people can live side by side. And let's also remember this, that the members opposite can repeat their central office lists of loony grants and whatever till they're blue in the face. And it's always the same central office list. They never produce new examples. But the fact is, if you talk to anybody that actually has to live in and work in London, they will talk to you about the sad decline of London over the past 12 years. Talk to cab drivers. Cab drivers, as has been said earlier, are not a natural Labour constituency, but they are the first to tell you how they regret the lack of investment in London transport, which has led to London's roads seizing up. Nobody who knows London, who uses London transport, unlike members opposite, can have failed to notice how London has declined, become a shabbier, become a seedier, become a sadder place in the past decade. And as a Londoner, someone who's proud to be a Londoner, I think that's very sad indeed. And no propaganda, no central office propaganda, no lists, no sneers at the London Labour Party can decry the evidence of people's own eyes, that London under a Conservative government has suffered from systematic neglect. I do apologise, honourable gentlemen, but I must complete my remarks because I know our front benchers wish to speak.
Ignore him, he's a troublemaker.
So, in closing, Mr Deputy Speaker, I wish to say this, that it is very easy, and it's not a temptation that members opposite find easy to resist, to sneer at what London local authorities may have done in the past, what they may have done wrong in the past. But I want to take the opportunity to say what they've done right in the past. And I think it was one of the ministers who said, what would anybody think who came into this debate this afternoon? Well, anybody who came into this debate this afternoon and looked at the London members opposite and looked at the London members on this side would have seen that the London members opposite, without exception, the London members opposite, without exception, were middle-aged, grey-faced, grey-suited men. The London MPs here, and there were 3/4 of the London Labour group here at the beginning of this debate. The London Labour group on this side of the House represented London in all its variety. The London Labour Party may have its faults, but that's because London has its faults. The London Labour Party may be a difficult, turbulent party, but London, since medieval times, has been a difficult, turbulent city. And the member for Edmonton may laugh. The member for Edmonton and I were at school together. I'm a grammar school girl that made good. He's a grammar school boy gone to the bad. He's a grammar school boy gone to the bad. But we're both, in a funny way, an example of what can happen to the children of people that come to London from far away. And what I've risen to be a voice for in this debate is the voice of the London beyond the suburbs, beyond the people carping about their rates, beyond the people complaining about these blacks and these women, and to talk for the spirit of London since medieval times, a dangerous city, a dirty city, a difficult city, but a city above all of contrast, a city above all where people who come from all over the world and all over the country and live side by side. If there is one crime that the members opposite have committed, it's not their sad neglect of the city, it's not their sad neglect of the public sector, but that they insist on speaking up for parochialism. They insist on speaking up for inward looking. They have never caught the spirit of this great city. And the London Labour Party, for all its faults, has always done so. And that is why that any form of strategic authority you can institute will have a Labour majority. That is why the London Labour Party still, in its variety and its energy, speaks for London, and we will speak for London still.
Yeah.